Hi everybody, it's me. I'm still here and I know I have been really silent over the past several weeks, so I figured I was due for a little update and I want to update you all on what I've been doing. I've definitely been receiving a little bit more texts lately and checking in, folks knowing that I had follow-up visits to the NIH and wanting to see how I'm doing and all of that. So here I would like to share with you all kind of what my last few weeks have looked like and how I've been feeling. So first, I will start with how I'm feeling, which is good. I'm feeling really good. All of the early symptoms I had after I got home of fever and just not feeling very well in my transition home, all of that is gone. So my fevers went away. I am feeling almost like myself. I've started working out again, which is great. Working out by like strength training. Started with a minimum of 20 minutes as my target, and since then have been able to kind of expand a little bit on that. But it's been really great to lift some weights light, keeping things light to start, but now starting to try to kind of see where I go. Having said that, most people probably won't be surprised that when I returned to my fitness, I uh, did a lot of air squats and was incredibly sore the next couple days. So I did a lot coming back. But anyway, I'm much better now. You can hear Mr. Bodie is back with us too. He is actually, I found an old CrossFit South Brooklyn handkerchief and I put it on him for now. Anyway, so he's back with us too, which is great. So we got both dogs back. Molly is maybe not loving that her big brother or her little brother is back, being annoying as ever. But anyway, Bodie, go. So things are good in our house. Overall, things are really good. What else? Oh, I'm starting to return to some of the things that I've loved to do, that I like to do. I've been able to meet some friends for coffee and lunch here and there, met up with family. I will be restarting with the hospice this week as the volunteer, back into my volunteer position on Thursdays. I am looking to restart my once a week fitness class with my Noble Circle crew, which is my local cancer group here in Dayton. And so some of that stuff is good. All that's great. I have been able to visit the NIH, I think since I've last checked in twice. Most recently, last week was a 2-day follow-up where Chris came with me and I had scans. So this is the first set of scans since the TIL infusion that I got, which was 6 weeks ago. And before going into the scans, we were told and instructed that these scans are really early on to really like gauge the effectiveness of the TIL cell treatment, of how my TIL cells are working. So not to be alarmed, and that sometimes they actually see that that the cancer progresses a little bit before it gets better. So they're like, don't be alarmed, don't have like high expectations of these scans. They're basically just to make sure that the cancer isn't progressing, isn't advancing negatively really quickly. Because if so, then going a full all this amount of time without any sort of treatment could be really detrimental. So going into the scans, we knew like, okay, they're just basically a check-in. We don't want things to be worse, and we don't want things to be extremely worse, because then I would potentially stop treatment and or stop the trial to look for something else, more aggressive treatment, whether that's going back on chemo or anything like that. So had the scans, get to the point. Scans, the MRI and the CT scans kind of show a mixed bag. On the positive side of things, I had some pretty aggressive liver lesions, or some liver lesions going into this that were growing pretty aggressively. That's kind of what got me into the trial, is that the chemo that I had been on wasn't really working anymore. And because these liver lesions were growing, I was able to get into the trial. So the good news is that liver is actually doing pretty good, that there hasn't been aggressive growth in the lesions. There's been a tiny bit of growth in some of them, but many of them are stable, and many of them have also gotten a little bit smaller. So that's good, because again, it was growing aggressively before I started the trial, and I've now gone 6 weeks without any sort of chemo or any sort of treatment directly for that. On the flip side, there are some new lesions, new nodules that have come up in my left lobe of my lung. That's a tongue twister. And they're relatively small, on the smaller end now, but they are new. And then I do also have 2 lymph nodes that have grown in size, that were present before I went in, but they've grown a little bit in size as well. So again, positives kind of on the liver front, maybe a little bit questionable on the lung and lymph node side of things. However, all that being said, my doctors are actually pretty pleased with these results. And again, things haven't gone haywire and haven't gone really aggressive. So they're pleased with these results. The next steps really are, we're going to keep doing this. I have 1 more dose of immunotherapy. I'm on a pembrolizumab, which is commonly known as Keytruda. So I was set to have 4 total doses of that. I've had 3. I go back in 2 weeks to the NIH now for my 4th treatment. And then 3 weeks after that, which will be the 2nd week of March, I will have my follow-up scans. And ideally that is when we'll really know how effective the TIL cell treatment was. So all that's a mouthful. Bottom line is, I'm doing good. There's naturally some fear inside of me of waiting so long with no real treatment. I mean, I haven't been on chemo since December, since it knocked me out on December the 16th, maybe, or so, was my last chemo treatment, which ironically was 2 years to the day that I was diagnosed. There's no plans for me to do chemo right now, because we're hoping that this TIL cell treatment really works. And if that's the case, then I don't have to return to chemo, and I can enjoy this chemo-free life, which is really nice. And it would mean no further treatment for a bit. Again, we won't know that until March, but for now, it's kind of just a little bit of a wait and see. I am feeling good. I am staying more on the hopeful side of things than on the fear side of things, just because, I got to. That's what's helping me stay sane, and it's also helping me kind of keep me in check and okay, what can I control? I can only control what I'm doing today, how I'm living my life today, and I want to make sure that I'm doing things that I love and that bring me joy. And I apologize for not checking in sooner. I know I've been quiet. It has been an adjustment, right? Having this bald head has been an adjustment, and to be honest, that's probably part of what has prevented me from having any sort of face-to-face interaction, and even being on Instagram lately. Chris mentioned the other day that I used to do check-ins, selfies, when I would go and get chemo treatments, and I haven't had any chemo treatments, so we haven't had any sort of selfie check-ins. So maybe that'll change now. I'll find a different way to check in. And I'm also getting used to wearing scarves and stuff so that it can protect my head. And so you'll maybe see some of that in the future, but I will do my best to check in a little bit more. I wanted to say thank you. Thanks to everyone who reached out. Thanks to everyone who's asked about whether or not my trial has been affected by the insane changes going on in the government right now. As for right now, nothing has changed. Everything, like, I'm really happy that the bulk of my treatment has been completed with the NIH. I have a couple more trips on the books, and that is not affected at all. In the future, travel reimbursement, hotel reimbursement might be affected. Like, that could be the next big thing, but so far so good. I also hope that the staff and the nurses and the doctors and everyone that works at the NIH, who have been incredible, I hope they don't get affected by it. But they were, last time I was there, they were sharing with me some crazy emails that they're like, they thought it was spam because it seemed like it was written by a fifth grader. And then, or maybe actually they said by a kindergartner. It's like, well, it's not, in my opinion, it's not far from who's in office. So anyway, I will leave it at that. I love you all. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for the continued texts and support. And I will check in soon.